April 2026 Visa Bulletin dropped yesterday, and inside that one document, one page of dates and numbers, 300,000 people just had their timeline extended by years, and they do not even know it yet. If your green card is pending right now, if your EAD is tied to a pending I-485, if you have been watching these dates every single month waiting for your number to move, stop everything you are doing. Because what happened in April 2026 is not what most people expected, and the mistake of misreading this bulletin, or worse, not reading it at all, is going to cost some applicants their filing window, their work authorization, and years of additional waiting. This is Global Immigration News, and in the next 12 minutes we are going to break down every critical number in the April 2026 Visa Bulletin. What moved forward, what moved backward, what stayed frozen, and exactly what you need to do about your specific case before this month ends. Welcome. Let us start with something that the Department of State never explains clearly, and this missing explanation has quietly destroyed the planning of thousands of applicants who thought they understood their timeline but were reading the wrong chart entirely. The Visa Bulletin is not one document, it is two separate charts published together, and if you do not know which chart governs your case in April 2026, you could be filing too early, filing too late, or missing a window that will not open again for months. The first chart is called the Final Action Dates chart. This is the chart that determines when USCIS will actually approve your green card and grant you permanent residence. If your priority date falls before the date listed in this chart for your category and country, you are eligible for final approval right now. The second chart is called the Dates for Filing chart. This chart, when USCIS specifically authorizes its use, allows applicants to submit their I-485 adjustment of status application before they are eligible for final approval, and filing early matters enormously. It gives you access to your employment authorization document. It gives you advance parole for international travel. It starts the clock on protections for your children who are aging toward 21. USCIS announces every month whether the dates for filing chart is authorized. In April 2026, that authorization decision is the first thing you need to know, because it changes what every single date in this bulletin means for your ability to act right now. Here is why April 2026 is different from a routine bulletin month. We are now inside the second half of fiscal year 2026. The fiscal year ends September 30th. This is the window, April through September, where the Department of State manages visa numbers most aggressively. Categories that were moving forward at a steady pace in January and February begin to slow down. The department starts protecting remaining visa numbers to prevent running out before September. Some categories that looked like they were gaining momentum hit a wall. Others that applicants had written off suddenly jump forward as unused numbers from one category roll into another. April 2026 reflects that management pressure, and understanding it is the difference between smart decisions and expensive mistakes. Now let us go through the categories that matter most. We are starting with employment-based because that is where the most consequential April 2026 movements occurred, and where the most people are going to be affected by what this month's bulletin says. Employment-based first preference, EB1, covers priority workers, extraordinary ability applicants, outstanding professors and researchers, and multinational executives and managers. For applicants born outside India and China, EB1 remains current in April 2026. No wait. If you have an approved I-140 in EB1 and you were not born in India or China, your priority date is not a barrier. You can file your I-485 right now if you have not already. There is no reason to wait another day. For EB1 India and EB1 China, the picture is different. April 2026 shows forward movement in both of these, which is genuinely positive news. But the movement is measured in weeks, not months. For applicants whose priority dates are sitting just behind the April cutoff, close enough to see the line but not yet across it, this forward movement means May 2026 becomes critical. Begin preparing your I-485 package now. Do not wait for May's bulletin to drop and then start gathering documents. By the time you have everything ready, you may have missed the optimal filing window. Employment-based second preference, EB2. This is the category that carries the most weight in April 2026, and it carries the most pain. For EB2 applicants from most countries, rest of world, the category is either current or functionally accessible. If you are EB2 from any country outside India and China, and you have not yet filed your I-485, the question you need to answer today is why not? There is no queue standing between you and your filing window. For EB2 India, and this is the part of the bulletin that every Indian-born professional in the H-1B system needs to hear directly, April 2026 shows forward movement. The cut-off date moved. But here is the truth, that the bulletin does not put in plain language. The forward movement this month is measured in days, single-digit days in some tracking comparisons, and the cut-off date itself reflects cases filed years ago. What this means for someone who filed their I-140 in 2023 or 2024 is not something that should be softened or made to sound more encouraging than it is. Under current annual visa issuance rates, with the per-country cap limiting India to 7% of total employment-based visas, regardless of demand, independent analysis of the EB2 India queue produces wait time estimates that exceed 20 years for recent filers. April 2026's movement does not change that structural reality. The queue is moving. It has not retrogressed this month. But the distance between where the cutoff is today and where a 2023 filer's priority date sits is a distance that moves in days per month, not months per month. Why does USCIS not tell you this when your employer files your I-140? Why does the approval notice not include a realistic timeline? That is not an accident. It is a gap in the system that leaves hundreds of thousands of professionals making career decisions, family decisions, and life decisions based on incomplete information. The April 2026 Visa Bulletin is not the cause of this problem, but it is the document that makes the problem visible to anyone who reads it carefully. And we are reading it carefully right now so that you have the information you deserve. For EB2 China, April 2026 shows modest forward movement. The China EB2 queue is shorter than India's in absolute terms, but still represents a multi-year wait for applicants at current filing positions. If your EB2 China priority date is within 6 months of the April cutoff, begin your I-485 preparation now. Do not wait for your exact date to appear as current and then scramble to file. The applicants who file within the first week of their date, becoming current consistently, have cleaner experiences than those who take weeks to get organized. Now, employment-based third preference, EB3. Skilled workers, professionals, other workers. Same geographic pattern as EB2, most countries accessible, India and China facing the queue. But here is something specific to EB3 India in April 2026 that every dual-category applicant needs to hear. There are Indian-born professionals who hold approved I-140 petitions in both EB2 and EB3, either because their employer filed both or because they changed jobs and accumulated petitions across categories. In some months, the EB3 India final action date sits ahead of the EB2 India final action date. When that happens, it creates a category portability opportunity, the ability to port your case to the more favorable category and potentially access a filing window years earlier than your EB2 date alone would allow. Check the April 2026 numbers for both EB2 India and EB3 India right now, side by side. If you hold approved petitions in both categories, compare your priority date against both cutoffs. If EB3 India's cutoff in April 2026 makes your priority date current or closer to current than EB2 India does, category portability is a tool you may be able to deploy. This requires specific documentation and a specific process. It is not automatic. It does not happen without action, and it requires immigration legal counsel to execute correctly, but it is a real option that real applicants use every year to accelerate timelines that otherwise stretch across decades. If you did not know this option existed before watching this video, that is exactly why this channel exists. Family-based categories in April 2026 deserve just as much attention because the waits in family preference categories are just as long as employment-based, and the applicants in them are often navigating the system with fewer resources and less professional support. Family first preference, F1, unmarried sons and daughters of US citizens. April 2026 shows forward movement for most countries, no retrogression. For F1 Philippines and F1 Mexico, where the queues are historically the longest, small but real forward movement this month. For applicants in these countries in F1, the critical question is whether USCIS authorized the dates for filing chart in April. If they did, the filing date for F1 Philippines and F1 Mexico may be further ahead than the final action date, creating a filing window that the final action date alone would not show. Check both charts. Do not assume the first chart you see is the one that governs your filing eligibility. Family Second Preference A, F2A, spouses and minor children of lawful permanent residents. April 2026 is favorable for F2A. Most countries are either current or very close to current under the dates for filing chart. If you are in F2A and your date is current or within the filing date window this month, file now. Do not wait. F2A has retrogressed before when demand exceeded available numbers unexpectedly. The history of this category is clear. When it opens, you move. Applicants who waited for a more convenient time to file during previous F2A current periods and then watched the category retrogress learned an expensive lesson. Do not repeat it. Family Second Preference B, F2B, unmarried adult sons and daughters of lawful permanent residents. April 2026 shows limited forward movement for Mexico and Philippines in this category. For F2B India and F2B China, movement is modest. These are long queues, and April does not dramatically change the timeline picture, but consistent monitoring matters, because F2B dates in favorable countries can sometimes jump forward significantly in the fiscal year-end period when unused numbers redistribute across categories. Family Third and Fourth Preferences, F3 covering married sons and daughters of citizens, F4 covering siblings of citizens. These are the longest waits in the entire family-based system for high-demand countries. F3 and F4 for Mexico and Philippines show priority dates reflecting cases filed many years ago. April 2026 does not change the structural reality for these categories, but there is something applicants in F3 and F4 must understand about this time of year specifically. The April through September window is when unused visa numbers from other categories can roll into family preferences. In some fiscal years, this creates unexpected forward jumps in F3 and F4 that allow applicants to file years ahead of when they expected. Missing that window because you stopped monitoring monthly because you assumed nothing would change is a mistake that sets people back by the full amount of that missed jump. Stay on the bulletin every single month without exception. Now let us talk about what April 2026 means for people whose cases are not just waiting in a queue, but who are actively managing an approved I-485 and waiting for their priority date to reach the final action cutoff so USCIS can move toward adjudication. For you, April 2026 is not just informational, it is operational. If your priority date became current in April, if your date now sits before the final action date cutoff for your category and country, USCIS can now move your case forward, biometrics can be scheduled, interview notices can be sent, final approval can happen. The average time from priority date becoming current to green card approval varies, but the cases that move fastest through that final stage share one thing: they are prepared. Medical examination results, the sealed I-693, must be within validity. Medical exams expire. If yours is outdated, USCIS will issue a request for evidence and your timeline extends by the weeks or months it takes to respond. Check today. Biometrics must be current. Confirm your address on file with USCIS is correct. An interview notice sent to a wrong address is a missed interview, and a missed interview without prior notification can result in your I-485 being abandoned. Update your employment letter. Verify name consistency across every document in your file. These are not bureaucratic formalities. They are the specific points where cases that should close in 3 months instead close in 8, for reasons that were entirely preventable. If you are watching this video, you are already doing something that the vast majority of waiting applicants are not doing. You are staying informed. And in a system this complex, this slow, and this unforgiving of mistakes, information is not just helpful, it is protective. Subscribe to Global Immigration News right now. Every month when the new Visa Bulletin drops, we break it down exactly like this. Every category, every movement, every implication for your specific situation. No filler, no vague reassurance, the actual numbers and what they mean for real cases. Also, follow our WhatsApp channel. Link is in the description, where we send the bulletin breakdown alert the moment the new numbers are published each month. In a system where a 1-month filing window can mean the difference between filing this year and filing next year, being first to know is not a luxury. It is a strategy. Here is what you must remember from April 2026. The Visa Bulletin contains 2 charts. Know which one governs your case this month. EB1 remains current for most countries, with small forward movement for India and China. EB2 India moved forward in days. The queue is real. The wait for recent filers is decades, and no amount of optimism changes the math. Category portability between EB2 and EB3 India is a real tool. Check your situation now. F2A is favorable this month. If you are eligible to file immediately. The April through September window is the most volatile period of the fiscal year. Unexpected forward jumps and retrogression are both possible, and monthly monitoring is non-negotiable. And if your date became current this month, audit your I-485 package today, not next week. May 2026 Visa Bulletin will drop in approximately 4 weeks. We will be here when it does. Stay informed, stay prepared, and we will see you then.